All right.
All right, here we go, guys. This is BrackCast number 52. And the question is this World War III? It's like one of the common kind of trending things on Twitter. Obviously, I don't know, man. Have you seen some of the posts on Instagram? What's going on?
So I have been seeing just like clippings of it.
Yeah.
I tried to just like dig a little deeper. Well, by dig a little deeper, I mean just like scroll through the threads on Twitter, not actually read any articles or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks like I want to take my time and learn properly like what's actually happening before I just start talking like, about it. But basically from what I've
That's fair.
gathered,
Yeah.
Russia is like invading the Ukraine or like bombing the Ukraine right now. And I
Yes.
saw a whole bunch of protesters in front of like I
St.
guess their
Petersburg.
parliament or what? Yes, they're at
Yeah.
St. Petersburg. Is that the capital? Or
I think it's the capital
Moscow or something?
of Russia. I don't think it's Moscow. I think it is St. Petersburg. Yeah. It's like
Okay.
Ottawa. You know how Toronto feels like the capital of Canada, but it's not.
Okay.
So like
Okay.
Moscow's like Toronto and St. Petersburg is like Ottawa. That's my
Okay.
understanding. I should have
That makes
probably
sense.
looked that up before I said that. Let me just fact check that. Capital of Russia is it's Moscow. What?
Oh yeah, I knew that.
Is it Moscow? So are they where are people protesting? Russia protest in front of Oh, maybe I don't. You know what? I don't know, man. Forgive me. Maybe it was St. Petersburg. I mean, sorry. Maybe it was Moscow. What is St. Peters? Is
I'm not sure.
St.
Let me Google that.
Petersburg, Russia?
It's a city in Russia.
Oh yeah, I know. It's like one of the oldest ones. It's where the Kremlin is, and
Oh,
back Moscow.
the Kremlin.
4 years, Russia, St. Petersburg. And where is the Kremlin? It's in. Oh my God, I'm wrong again. It's Kremlin's in Moscow, dude.
Oh, okay. I was like,
What is wrong with me?
okay.
I'm 2 for 2 in getting things wrong. Anyway, St.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Petersburg
I'm
I know is
geographically
more of like
challenged.
the old school look, where it's like looks very much like old school Russia, but Moscow is the capital. Anyway, so I think it'd be a good opportunity for us to go through some of the history first, so anyone who's watching might appreciate a little bit of that backstory too.
Okay.
So I read this article. I'm gonna pull it up in the stream right here. It's from BBC News, and it's titled "Why is Russia invading Ukraine and what does Putin want?" And there's this also video I was watching just now from WION on YouTube, but this was from 4 days ago, but basically explained the Russia-Ukraine crisis. So it's like it's a long-going history of events that's kind of led them to here. So what I'm going to try to do to you now, man, is going to give you a summary as best as I can based on the article that I read and so far what I've seen in this video.
Okay.
So the Ukraine used to be part of the Soviet Union. Okay, so it was
USSR.
one of the countries, as well as the Baltic countries like Lithuania, Estonia, Crimea, all around that western border of Russia.
Okay.
Used to be all part of the Soviet Union.
Okay.
And then in the 90s, the Soviet Union was kind of like taken down.
Disassembled.
Yeah,
Okay.
disassembled. And then a bunch of those countries, like Ukraine, Lithuania, Estonia, Baltic countries, I think even Belarus, maybe even Belarus.
I always like the name of that country, or how that country sounds. Belarus.
I didn't realize that Belarus is Belarussia, like it's like beautiful Russia.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so NATO, North American Treaty Organization. Do you know about them?
Okay. I know the acronym. I didn't know that's what they stood for. I thought
So
that was like a missile silo thing.
I thought it was like a UN thing, like just a collection of nations to govern bodies of that region, right?
Okay.
Like the UN. I thought the UN, was like a quote unquote moral organization, but no. Apparently, NATO is a military union.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when the Soviet Union was disbanded, there were fights over Crimea, and Crimea is like basically right between Ukraine and Russia. It's like this peninsula. It was like a really key area for that region in terms of body of land and like resources or yeah.
Okay.
It was given to Ukraine after the disband, but some Russians felt like the Russia should have kept it. So there was fight over Crimea, and then so Russia signed a peace treaty. It was like a ceasefire, saying that they won't continue trying to take Crimea and Ukraine fighting over that, as long as Ukraine and a bunch of other countries don't join NATO, right? Because NATO is this military union. It poses as a threat to the Russian army, or military power. But over the years, since that agreement was signed, slowly more and more countries are joining NATO. And so US has a part in this in terms of like providing weapons and support for a lot of these countries to do so. And apparently US has also provided military weapons for Ukraine. No one is necessarily providing their troops. Like no other countries at this moment are providing soldiers, because once that happens, then that's a world war. Like that's when multiple countries start taking place, and they haven't done that, but they've definitely set up for Ukraine to defend themselves against Putin. So also in the past, apparently there was some, like, obviously there's political corruption and uproar in between all these countries. Apparently Ukraine, for a while after the peace treaty, had a corrupt leader, and the corrupt leader wanted to sign with Russia in terms of like financial support rather than the whole rest of Ukraine. The country wanted him to sign with the European Union, like the EU. Like the country wanted support from the EU, from the European Union, but instead this corrupt leader took money from Russia. So they were like in cahoots. And apparently this kind of level of corruption led more attention from the West, like the States and like other European countries. Anyway, so eventually now there's this thing called the Donbass, and the Donbass is the eastern region of Ukraine, which is right along the border of Russia. So there's two ideas on this. Apparently there's two sides. I'm trying to be neutral, but I'm gonna sort of explain it from side to side. There were separatists, people who don't want to be part of Ukraine, started creating like a rebellion in the Donbass, in that area. And so one of the ideas is Putin put those rebels there. Putin was the one who put them there to start this war, and so Ukraine was actually fighting with these rebels in Ukraine's border for a while. And over time, Putin has been moving forces closer and closer to the border to support the rebels. And that's been ongoing. So at this point now, Putin is right on the border, and well, he's invaded. He's come in, and now he's fighting alongside the rebels to take over that Donbass region. But they're also fighting in Kiev now, which is the capital of Ukraine. So now it's like full on. It's like not even just fighting for the Donbass. Like, where's Ukraine?
Yeah, now they're in the capital.
Where's Kiev? Maps. Is Kiev in the Donbass? No, Kiev is not in the Donbass. So, yeah. So there's this region that they were initially fighting for, and yeah, apparently the U.S. had like political movements in the past that kind of like shunned Russia or like neglected Russia. Apparently there was this thing called an Auschwitz Memorial, and the U.S. didn't invite Russia to be a part of it, even though Russia was the one who provided like all of the resistance towards like Auschwitz, and like to actually take over that part to save that in the World War II from Germany. Yeah. Anyway, that was one of the stances, but apparently Russia didn't really care. But I don't know. That's another flex. Gorbachev was the previous like leader of Russia. He had like a bunch of kind of ideas of where Soviet Union should be, but you know, when he was overthrown, or at least, you know, when he stepped down, Putin took over. So Putin's kind of trying to maintain the same kind of ideals that Gorbachev had, but the rest of the world kind of has, I'll say, moved forward from the idea of, you know, Russian communism, imperialism. Like Russia still has this kind of old school, hey, we're a big power. Apparently, I've been told that like there were 3 realms of Earth or something, or 3 realms. So there was the Russian realm, was the second realm of like high power. The first one was like the
Roman.
Was it something Philistine or something, or not Philistine, and Byzantine Empire or something like that. Byzantine. Sorry, I'm trying to learn all this. I only learned this last part in like the last hour, but anyway. But Russia believes it's the third realm. It's like the next power after Rome, the Roman Empire, right? So now it's the Russian Empire or whatever. So yeah, so that's where we are. So some people, a lot of people, think the U.S. was to blame. You know, they were cutting off Russia. They were ignoring Russia in terms of like even sanctions, and like they were like peace talks or these negotiations. But slowly, more and more of these ex-Soviet Union countries were signing up for NATO, and that's against the agreement that Ukraine and Russia signed. So Ukraine, I didn't know this too, but when Soviet Union was all together, Ukraine was actually like the central power. Like it was like the biggest in Soviet Union. So then when it broke apart, Russia was still number 1 in terms of power, and then Ukraine was the second strongest because it's like the largest. And so Russia said to Ukraine, as long as you don't join NATO, we're cool, right? Like you don't have to worry. We'll protect you, and you know you. And at the time too, was it Crimea or Ukraine? But a lot of the nukes during the Cold War were stationed in Ukraine. So then when the Soviet Union disbanded, Ukraine claimed all those nukes. But then years later, Ukraine was like, all right, here, take your nukes back. Out of respect, here, these are your nukes, you can take them back. And then Russia was like, thanks, man, we got you. So they're like, cool, right? But there is more and more pressure from the West, as in the US, for Ukraine to join NATO. Because they kind of want to ban all these countries to prevent Russia from flexing like this. I kind of see the point, you know, like I kind of get the idea of why NATO is important, because if all of these countries were independent and didn't really have this like this union this union, like the union, that Russia could just step in and take it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the scary part. And here is Ukraine, not even part of NATO yet. So I feel like maybe Putin thinks that his hand was forced, that it's imminent that Ukraine was going to join NATO. So he felt like, look, we're not gonna be ignored. This is what I'm gonna do. This, like, Ukraine is mine, kind of a thing. Right? You know what I mean? Like I don't know, man. So that's the history in a nutshell. There was more. I was gonna watch this video. Sorry, this explained the Russia-Ukraine crisis. But the BBC article is pretty good in explaining why the Russian troops here. Oh, here's another thing, man. Like, in terms of military size, man, like Russia is huge compared to Ukraine. Like I think like Russia has like 900,000 troops, whereas Ukraine has like 200,000. So
900,000?
like, yeah, 900,000 versus 200,000. Even with NATO troops,
Oh, I'm seeing the map now. Wow.
like it's not even going to, you know. Okay, so yeah, let me show you that map. So Crimea is this area down here. Donbass is this region here. Hopefully it'll show. And yeah, there you see Belarus too. But all the other Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, even Poland, Romania, all those bordering countries, all part of NATO.
Oh,
And
shit.
they want Ukraine. But then imagine how that's gonna be like if it's like on that border, NATO versus Russia. It's like,
Oh shit. That's crazy.
yeah.
Bulgaria. Russia annexed Crimea in 2014.
Yeah, so annex apparent I had to look that up in Google. So apparently annex means like wanted to take Crimea, like include it. It's like, hey, this is mine now. So Dede said he was gonna come too because he was gonna try and do more of a backstory, but you know, regarding the politics, I can see why Putin felt he was being cornered. Like, apparently there's a saying, it's like, poke the bear, you're gonna get the Russian bear. You know, right?
Yeah.
And but that's politics, I get that. But you know, as soon as you start involving harming innocent civilians, like,
It's a different
like,
thing.
no, man, like, dude, there were videos today that I'm seeing of like cities or like people on their Instagrams, like lives and stuff, little clips of like a jet flying over and like missiles hitting the town. It's scary, man. Or you just see like random people walking down the street and cars driving down the street, and maybe like a few blocks later, bam, you just see like this explosion. Like it's like a movie, right? Before you didn't really see it like this, because now everyone has phones. They can just put it live instantly. It's not even like you need to wait for reporters and helicopters and stuff, man. There's clips already of explosions, and like people, like the train are like stopped. All the metro has been stopped. There's like, you can't function, you can't go to work, you can't like do anything right now. Like, your country's being bombed. It's crazy. It's scary. I didn't see it this real before, you know?
That's a little nuts, yo.
I want to say too, for anyone who's watching, forgive me if I bastardized that summary, because like I tried my best.
Wow.
I mean, World War II, like where did you have any relatives part of that?
World War II. No. Maybe my grandfather, but he's no longer with us.
My grandfather fought. I think both my grandfathers fought in World War II.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't know where. I'm gonna guess maybe like China, Japan area. I'm assuming we were part of the alliance because there were U.S. bases on the Philippines, so I'm gonna assume we were part of the good guys, you know. And that's this. Oh man, there was this link data shared of the Ukrainian president, passionate,
Okay.
like saying we will not, like he's like we will defend ourselves. You will not see us. You will not see our backs. You will see our faces.
I
If you
think I saw
attack
that.
us, yeah, it was like, damn man, that's
Oh
scary
shit.
stuff, yo. Like, and it's passionate though. Like, he wants to defend his country. But yeah, it's hard when you listen to the backstory and you see there was corruption involved prior. So it's like, whose side do you take? It's kind of clear. You take the side who didn't shoot the missile first. It's pretty
Mm.
obvious for me, but people blaming the U.S. for this war. Sure, I get it in politics, but no, I blame the guy who shoots the missile first. It's whoever shoots the bullet
Yeah.
first, because he didn't have
Shame.
to. He didn't have to do that. But man, as soon as other countries get involved, I don't know what's gonna happen. It's only been
Bro,
day one, man.
I saw two things that scared me today. I saw a picture. Let me see if I can find this picture and post it in the thing. I saw a picture of like a comparison of the bombs from Hiroshima and Nagasaki to what we have right now. Let me just find this shit. Let me find this shit. Oh, did I like it on Twitter? Where did I put this? But yeah, man, everyone is like worried about like a nuclear fallout. Like, are you worried about that at all? You concerned?
Yeah, dude. There's
Yeah,
nukes
man.
everywhere. Everyone has nukes. Everybody has nukes now. Didn't they quote Albert Einstein? It was like,
Oh man, that quote, eh?
yeah, something about like, what do you
I don't
think
know the one.
World War III is gonna be like? And he's like,
This
I
is it.
don't
This is it.
know, but I know World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. It's like,
My God, that's terrifying.
that's scary, dude.
How do I send this to you? This is the group chat.
What are you sending
What's
in?
that?
Oh, what's
This
that?
picture that scared the shit out of me. Yeah.
Okay.
Hold on. I have to find it on my other phone first. But yeah, I was thinking about that quote earlier, even in this conversation. Like, dude, this shit is no joke.
Like, I know it's gonna, it's gonna obviously mess up the economy. It's gonna affect
economy.
logistics and like, well, right now, apparently the biggest in terms of like North American Canadian economy, yeah, like there's some trades with Russia, but it's gonna affect obviously Europe. Like, apparently there's like a gas pipeline where Russia provides a lot of the oil for a bunch of European countries, so they're gonna shut that off likely. There's gonna be a lot of political stances of people against this. And yeah, apparently all the protesters in Moscow or in Russia against the war are
Okay,
risking their lives to protest because it's communism, man.
here it is. I sent it to you on WhatsApp. I don't know how to send it. I don't know if you
Okay.
can post that, but
Yeah, I can post this. Let's see.
this shit was like,
Download.
what the fuck?
Save. All right, let's open that up.
So it shows basically, hold on, where are we here?
All right, there it is.
It's like a comparison of all the bombs. And then it
So
shows like average
Nagasaki,
commercial airline altitude.
yeah, 40,000 feet. Nagasaki, Hiroshima. Oh, I didn't know there were two. I don't know why I didn't know. I mean, I heard about Nagasaki, but all right, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, and then you got Lisorn. I guess. Oh, that actually happened. Maybe that was a test.
Yeah.
1 megaton.
Look at,
50
you see the
megatons
Mount Everest there?
Yeah, dude. I know.
Dude,
50 megaton SAR bomb, Russia, 1961. Like
that was
I
it.
don't,
That was 60 years ago.
I don't even know. Yeah, I don't even know what that was. Was that a part of a war? I thought there was no atomic bombs used in war after World War II.
This
I'm
is probably
guessing.
like a test thing.
I'm guessing those were tests. Those were tests, right? They had to be.
Dude, this was. Let me make sure my math is right. This was 60 years ago.
Yeah.
Yo, do you know what we've done in 60 years with technology?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. It's scary, man. If as soon as one person
Did,
launches one nuke, like the 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 Lego effect of, or like the domino effect. Sorry, the domino effect of that is.
oh my God.
I mean, it can't. Like the world wouldn't survive.
Yeah, the world's over.
Hold on here.
And then let me find you this other shit that I stumbled. This is the second thing that scared the shit out of me.
All right.
All right, so hold on. Where is this shit?
I feel like. Would you watch
How
this
to
with me? Anyway, I'll ask it after. Go.
how to survive a nuclear apocalypse? A thread. So first, the guy posts the picture I just sent you, and he says, "Before we start, I want to point out that the atom bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki were minuscule compared to the modern nukes. In 1961, the Soviets successfully developed one of the most deadliest nuclear bombs that ever existed, the Tsar bomb, 3,000 times more powerful than in World War II. The moment you hear this siren, head to the nearest shelter immediately." He posts a picture of, I guess, like the nuclear siren thing.
Yeah. What's up,
Uh,
Tony? I'll get to your comment in a minute. Yeah.
If your city has no bunker, go to the basement or to the middle of a solid building. Stay away from the windows, outer walls, and roof. Time is of the essence. You have minutes before the bomb drops, so be hasty. His grammar's kind of messed up, so sorry. For
Okay.
this thread, we assume that your location is far enough from the epicenter so that you won't be instantly vaporized and have more of a chance to survive. There are civilians in Hiroshima and Nagasaki who survived because they were standing in the stairwell in the middle of a building. If you are outdoors when a detonation occurs, take cover from the blast behind anything that may offer protection. Lie face down to protect exposed skin from the heat and flying debris. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. If possible, after the shockwave passes, get to the nearest best shelter location like the above mentioned. Now that you have survived the shockwave, get ready for the most dangerous part of a nuclear attack, the fallout. The irradiated dust and debris will start falling down, engulfing the sky with darkness. Remove contaminated clothing and wipe off or wash unprotected skin if you are outside after the fallout arrived. Hand sanitizer does not protect against fallout. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth if possible. Put contaminated clothes in a nylon bag. He just goes on and on and on. As I
Yeah.
was reading this, I was just like, we're fucked.
Nah. Like I know he's writing all that down. You wouldn't survive, dude. Like you wouldn't. Like
Like,
even if it landed like CN Tower, right? Like that area in Toronto. Wherever we are, we wouldn't survive. I I'm pretty sure we wouldn't survive, dude. Like bomb
cell
shelter,
phone,
yeah, if it's underground, but yeah.
cell phone text messaging, television, and internet services will be disrupted or unavailable. The economy will collapse, so money isn't something you need to worry about.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Oh my gosh, bro.
So Russia was going after Chernobyl, and big spike in radioactive activity. Reminds me of Transformers scene. Is Putin chasing Decepticons? Tony, didn't Russia take Chernobyl already? I read a headline that they took it. I think Day sent the headline that Russia already took over Chernobyl. That's the thing, man. Like, I didn't know how. Obviously, I don't know how war works nowadays. You know, back then in the movies, you see a front line and they're just marching in, right? In World War One, marching in. World War Two, marching in. This time, man, there was here. Let me show you this. Let me show you this in this article. There's a slider here that showed. This is pretty scary, actually. Hold on. Oh, what? How come you can't see it? Oh, I thought it was in this article. Basically, it showed this particular air base on the border of Ukraine and Russia in the Ukraine side, and it was like empty. It was like this air base. And then like this week, like the beginning of this week or something, all these Russian military tanks and like tents and all these like facilities were set up right there in that air base. And it was like, okay, you know what's happening. Hold on. It's Kuro 23. You know what? It's Kuro, man. I don't know if I can click that link. I don't necessarily trust it. I don't. It's a short URL. I feel like I should ban it. Hopefully nobody clicks that link, guys. I can probably ban this link.
I'm not just gonna not click it. I'm going to ban it forever.
Yeah, I don't have any mods in here, so guys, please don't click any links in chat. No offense if you're legit, it's Kuro, but if your first message in this chat is gonna be a link, I'm not gonna trust it. So.
Nope.
But yeah. So what I've noticed is like, okay, sorry, Tony's saying allegedly Trump warned Putin that if he touched Ukraine, he would bomb Moscow and St. Petersburg, and if Xi touched Taiwan, he would bomb Taiwan. True or not, neither of those things happened during his years. Well, good. I mean, we kind of hope that nothing Trump says. Oh, Beijing. Okay, Beijing. Okay. Yeah, we kind of hope nothing Trump says actually happens. But from what I've seen, there is no like mass movement of like troops. From what I've seen in the clips, I don't know for sure. It just looks like, you know, planes flying over certain places and places getting bombed randomly. And I hope to God, like, I hope that he is strategically targeting places with no civilians. But I don't know that. Nope, there are plenty of ground troops. Okay, well, there you go. Flipstar, thanks, man. Kiev might fall tonight. Oh, shoot. Okay. Like, I saw like... Tonight? Kiev is the capital of Ukraine. So Jeff, you're saying that like, have they evacuated completely? Like, what's going on? I don't know. Maybe I should look that up right now. Let's look it up right now.
Yeah, let's see what's happening here.
Going on right now in Ukraine.
Explosions have been heard across Kiev as Russian troops approach the Ukrainian capital on Friday morning, according to the Ukrainian interior.
What we know so far, Ukraine leader says at least 137 killed in Russian attack on Western powers announced series of sanctions against Moscow. What's up?
Ukraine has banned male citizens 18 to 60 years of age from leaving the country.
Yeah, they're gonna call on like reserves.
Whoa. How you just gonna ban all the men?
It's because they need them to serve, dude. It's like call to arms. Mandatory conscription, yeah, man. Enlist. Not even
equality.
Enlist. You just gotta fight. All able-bodied. Wait, 18
equality.
Or 16? 16
Persons.
or 18? Was it 16 or 18?
18, bro.
18 to 60.
18 to 60. Okay. Bro, imagine being 59. Like your birthday's like 2 months from now. I'd be tight.
It says Poland to set up reception centers for fleeing Ukrainian refugees.
Or 60, I should say.
Biden unveils new Russia sanctions over Ukraine invasion.
I wonder what Trump would have done. A lot of Americans probably
launch a nuke. You just feel like launch one of them our nukes at Moscow.
We're not gonna win. They're not gonna win.
We're not gonna stay down.
I tell you what, we're gonna get them.
And all of a sudden he's a hick. Tell you what, Trump would have let it happen. Oh yeah? Yeah, I mean, I guess what is there no like economical? Right? There has to be a political and economical advantage for the U.S. for Russia not to take Ukraine, right? There has to be a. Is there no economic political advantage? Held the message. Trump is Putin's butt boy.
Who's got the real
Oh,
beef though? 'Cause you got like,
modded. Yeah, I saw what you said. Oh yeah, I'll just allow it. I'll allow it. Biden also letting it happen. Well, yeah, it's happening. But like, what do you like? What technically are we saying is letting it happen though, guys? Like, do you anticipate as soon as the U.S. gets involved, if they send in a troop? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, what Jeff just said. Biden has to let it happen, or it'll be a nuclear war. Trump warned Germany of pipeline and reliance on Russia during UN speech. That, yeah. Well, now it's there. They laughed at him. Oh, I see. So yeah, apparently, yeah, a lot of European countries are set up to rely on Russia for oil, and
oh shit.
Trump warned them,
Yeah.
and they laughed at him apparently. And now look what's going on. Apparently, Putin has every course that he wants. If he wants to shut down the pipeline, he can.
Wow.
So
it's crazy, yo.
Ukraine is getting no ground troop or military help. Yeah, from anyone, not even just the U.S. That's sort of letting it happen. No, I know what that means, but like, no other country no other troops. Apparently, according to this article that I read, Mike's messaging now. No other country surrounding Ukraine is sending troops. What they've done is like they've provided up until this point weapons, like things for defense, a way for Ukraine to retaliate, but you can't send in troops from other countries because as soon as you send in and any other country wants to go in there, Russia is
declaration.
Yeah, man, like that's what makes it a world war. Right now it's two countries, right? Like, and it's Russia. Like anyone who stands against Russia outside of Ukraine will open that up. Well, like, oh man, it's scary. It only makes sense the U.S. does it because that's the next. Like, what other country can? Well, China, I guess could, but China's on the other side. They don't care. China does. I'm assuming China doesn't care. Does anybody know? What's China's stance on this? Let's look it up. Where does China stand on Ukraine? Here we go. The Ukraine crisis is a major challenge for China. 17 hours ago. Let's go with this one. Where does China? Oh. Okay. Yeah, Russia's invasion of Ukraine was sparked by Ukraine moving closer to NATO, the Western military alliance. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know NATO was a Western military alliance. I guess that means US. Oh yeah, dude, Canada's part of NATO. I did see that actually.
Okay.
All the different countries part of NATO. So yeah. Where is it here? Anyway, oh, I should pull this up so you guys can see this too. It says China's aligned with Russia. Russia has the most nukes in the world. Trump literally killed hundreds of Russian mercenaries years ago, and Putin did shit. When was this, Tony? When are you talking about Trump killing hundreds of Russian mercenaries? Hundreds, slaughtered them all. Putin didn't do shit back. When and where was this, Tony? I'm not challenging. I really don't know. I really should know this news, but I am not a news guy, you know. Russia and China have a long history of close ties with one another, but where does China stand on the invasion of Ukraine? Is China an ally of Russia? It's not a straightforward question to answer, but Russian President Vladimir Putin did meet with the Chinese leader Xi Jinping in Beijing earlier this month. Two countries have supported each other. China has not yet criticized Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Will China join Russia in war? Although China has a strong ties to Russia, there are also important ties to Ukraine to consider. For example, Ukraine's top trade partner is China and buys a great deal of military hardware. NATO is a product of the Cold War era, and now we need to look at the current situation, and there needs to be an adaptation. I will find link. Hang on, Tony says. China invading Taiwan. It's believed that China will be watching the West's response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine closely to offer insight into how other powers would respond if China moved into Taiwan. Similar to how Russia built up military troops and equipment in the borders with Ukraine before invading, China has also been dispatching military aircraft and holding war games in the hopes of intimidating Taiwan. Because the US provides Taiwan with arms and military equipment, the country has a legal obligation to consider threats to the island as a grave concern, although that doesn't require military intervention.
From the US, eh?
Alright, so here, how a 4-hour battle between Russian mercenaries and US commandos unfolded in Syria. Oh, Syria. Sorry, man, I'm not subscribed. Can't read the New York Times. Won't let me.
If you do... Oh, it might not work for the New York Times. But I think if you do outline.com/ and then copy the link of any article, it lets you do that. It lets you read it for free.
Good to know. Not sure if we could have said that in this podcast, but that's okay.
Whoops. I mean, by free, free to pay for the subscription.
But, okay, so...
Wow, is that really TOS?
I don't know, man. I don't know. We're promoting illegal behavior, maybe.
Whoops.
I mean, we can't obviously watch like a streaming, like an illegal stream while we're on here. Anyway, okay, so I would like, if you're cool with it, can we watch this 9-minute video to explain the Russia-Ukraine crisis? I've watched 6 minutes of it already, but I'll be glad, guys, to rewatch it with all of you guys. So I'm gonna do this. Here we go.
What's up, Deji? Oh wait, no, that's not Deji.
That's not Deji. That's the stream.
Oh, you're putting it on the thing.
I'm gonna put it on here so you don't have to wait for the stream to watch it. Okay, so this has been very informative, and I had to pause it a number of times, but I'm gonna try to play it through. I'm gonna turn off the music.
All right.
Turn off the music here. All right, we're gonna watch this, guys, together.
Will Russia go to war with Ukraine? All week, you've heard numerous answers to this question. In Ukraine, 71% of the people believe their country is already at war with Russia. This is a complex crisis, and all the answers are hidden in history. Did you know there was a time when Kiev was more powerful than Moscow? There was also a time when Ukraine and America were adversaries. Tonight, we'll bring you all these stories. We will tell you why Russian President Vladimir Putin is obsessed with Ukraine. I'm Palki Sharma Upadhyay, and this is Gravitas Plus. We begin in the 9th century. There was a state called Kievan Rus. This is where it was located. The Slavic people lived here. The city of Kiev was their capital. Between 980 and 1015, the Kievan Rus was ruled by Grand Prince Volodymyr. In Russian, his name is Vladimir. In Ukrainian, Volodymyr. And as fate would have it, these are also the names of the presidents of these two countries today. Anyway, Russians, Ukrainians, and Belarusians draw their lineage from this Slavic state. A lot changed in the centuries that followed, and for a lot of it, Ukraine was under Russian rule. In the 1900s, the two were Soviet republics. Russia, the most powerful of the 15 republics, and Ukraine, the second most powerful.
Holy
It had defense
shit.
industries, large agricultural lands, and housed much of the Soviet nuclear arsenal. During the Cold War, Ukraine was the arch rival of the United States. The Soviet Union collapsed in 1991. Ukraine became independent, as did Russia. Ukraine inherited much of Soviet nuclear arsenal, but gave it up to Russia in 1994. In exchange, Moscow guaranteed Ukraine's security and promised to respect its sovereignty. They signed the Budapest Memorandum along with these countries. Cut to November 2013, Viktor Yanukovych was the president of Ukraine. He had a reputation for heavy-handedness, corruption, and above all, for being openly pro-Moscow. In 2013, he rejected an EU trade deal. This deal could have meant greater integration with the European Union. Instead, Yanukovych decided to take a $15 billion bailout from Russia. To many Ukrainians, it felt like being sold to Moscow, so protests broke out. They were called Euromaidan. Euro because these protests were about Europe, and Maidan because they happened in Kiev's Maidan. what we today know as the Independence Square. Here, protesters chanted, "Sign the EU deal, Yanukovych must step down." Russia supported the president, the West supported the protesters. In February 2014, Yanukovych's government was toppled, the president was driven out of Ukraine, he fled to Russia. Not every Ukrainian was happy with this. Many in the Russian-speaking East wanted Yanukovych to stay. When he was driven out, the minority felt disenfranchised. On the other side of the border, Russia was angry it had lost its puppet. To salvage the situation, Moscow annexed Crimea. Why Crimea? Well, let's now zoom into this part of the world. Crimea is a peninsula. It is located in the Black Sea. In 1954, Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev transferred Crimea. It was given to the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic from the Russian Soviet Socialist Republic. Why? Khrushchev hoped the transfer would strengthen, quote-unquote, brotherly ties between the Ukrainian and Russian people. Both Russia and Crimea were part of the Soviet Union. So this transfer did not mean very much. When Ukraine became independent in 1991, Crimea joined it. The peninsula was given special autonomy. It remained home to Russian military bases. Moscow promised to respect Crimean autonomy. Many in Russia were of the opinion that Crimea should not have been allowed to join Ukraine. In 2014, when Yanukovych was ousted from power in Ukraine, Russian military began seizing government buildings in Crimea. Soon the entire peninsula was under military occupation.
Notice that gun?
A referendum followed. On the 16th of March 2014, Crimeans voted to become a part of Russia.
No,
Was this vote legitimate?
It's the scope. I saw the
Well, it
scope.
depends on who you ask. For Putin, this was Crimea's liberation. For the rest of the world, this was Crimea's annexation.
Obama.
The focus then shifted to eastern Ukraine, where Russia-backed separatists had seized territory. Ukrainian forces did not launch an all-out offensive at first, but on the 17th of July 2014, when a flight carrying 298 people was shot down by these rebels, Ukrainian forces decided to flush out the rebels. The separatists began losing ground, so the Russian army stepped in. They invaded eastern Ukraine and fought alongside the rebels. What followed was a series of talks between Russia, Ukraine, and the West. They resulted in the Minsk Accords. This was first signed in 2014. Both sides agreed on ceasefire and military withdrawal. Ukraine agreed to hold elections in the rebel-held areas. 8 years on, the Minsk Accords remain unimplemented. Ukraine stands as the largest European country excluding Russia. It covers an area of more than 600,000 square kilometers with a population of 44 million and a GDP of more than $155 billion. Per capita income, more than $3,700. Today, Ukraine is divided between East and West in more ways than one. The West sees itself as more European. The East is closer to Russia, be it in terms of geography or sentiment. In the West, most Ukrainians speak Ukrainian. In the East, a third are native Russians. In the West, Russia is looked at with suspicion. In the East, Russia is looked at through the lens of shared history and heritage.
Just
Ukraine also remains at war. Its forces are fighting the rebels in the East. Rebel leaders are ruling at least two regions, Donetsk and Luhansk. Together, they're known as the Donbas region. Russia has once again sent its troops. This time, they're stationed right at the border. What does Vladimir Putin want? For NATO to stop expanding. NATO stands for North Atlantic Treaty Organization. It's a military alliance. These countries are the founding members of NATO. These countries joined it during the Cold War, and these countries joined after it. Ukraine wants to join NATO too, but Putin wants NATO to exclude Ukraine and every former Soviet state. And this is just half the story. Like I said, a lot is hidden in history. For starters, there is domestic politics. When Putin annexed Crimea, his approval rating skyrocketed. Keeping the nationalistic drum rolling helps the Russian president. Annexing parts of Ukraine also helps Putin restore Russia's superpower image. Again, back to history. Many Russians view Ukraine's independence as a mistake. It is true that Ukraine was ruled by Russia. In fact, Ukraine has barely remained independent pre-1991. There was a brief period before World War I, and then another stint in 1600. For the rest of its modern history, Ukraine was under Russia. 1 in 6 Ukrainians is an ethnic Russian. 1 in 3 speaks Russian as a native language. So Putin is right when he says historically they were one. But claiming Ukraine on the basis of colonial history is wrong. It will be like Britain claiming India or South Africa or Spain claiming the Philippines. Past imperialism cannot justify present-day expansionism. Here's what else history tells us. Ukraine was forcefully Russified. Cut to 1700, Russian leader Catherine the Great started Russifying Ukraine. Ethnic Russians were shipped to this part of the world. Schools were told to teach Russian language. By 1800, the Ukrainian language was banned. In 1930, Soviet leader Joseph Stalin steered a famine in Ukraine. Millions of Eastern Ukrainians were killed. The area was then repopulated with ethnic Russians.
Damn.
In the 1940s, the ethnic Tatars were relocated. They too were replaced with Russians. There is a reason why Eastern Ukraine today has so many native Russian speakers. It was designed to be that way. Eastern Ukraine was always dear to Russia. It has coal, it has iron, fertile land. Its historical connection with Russia was forced. Putin time and again talks about the Holy Rus. He says Russians and Ukrainians are one people. 70% Ukrainians reject this thought. 72% consider Russia a hostile state. Today, 33.3% Ukrainians are ready to take up arms against Russia. 21.7% are ready to stage a civil resistance against Russia. 67% Ukrainians want to join the EU. 59% want to join the NATO. Meet the current Ukrainian president, Volodymyr Zelensky. He came to power in 2019 following a landslide victory.
What's up?
Sorry, I didn't mean to pause that, but that, like, I love how she broke down those stats right there. That's such a lovely multi-layered way to look at something. But yeah, continue.
Where the nation stands. I'm just going to read Tony's comment here. Summary: U.S. and Russia agreed to stay on separate sides of river. Mercenaries built bridge to cross river. Oh, this is still part of your Syria. All right, man. Well, I'll get to that. I'm gonna finish the video right now. All right.
He's a vocal critic of Russia. Zelensky openly opposes Russian occupation of eastern Ukraine. 73% of Ukrainian voters voted this man to power. Today, Volodymyr Zelensky represents the pulse of Ukraine, the Ukraine that wants to remain independent of Russia. But Vladimir Putin wants to become the man who revived Russian imperialism. He does not realize the world has moved on.
The world has moved on.
Wow. So funny. There's a song I made a while ago called Moscow. Starts with Vladimir Putin's voice.
All right. So Tony's saying, summary: U.S. and Russia agreed to stay on separate sides of river. Mercenaries built bridge to cross the river. U.S. called Russia to ask them whether they are their men, and Russia said, "Niet." 4 hours later, all 200 to 300 were slaughtered. Putin didn't say shit, even though it was obvious they were his men to save face. Trump gave no shit and did not fear Putin. I mean, they said no. Politically, that was the green light. On paper, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's... Anyway. I mean, that's Syria.
Right, so
I don't know Syria's situation at all, so... Yeah, go ahead.
So there were Russians in Syria, and then when they were confronted by U.S. troops, they said they weren't Russian?
Yeah, apparently there was an agreement between them that they were like, we're going to stay in our own zones, but there was a movement from one zone to the other, and then U.S. heads were like, yo, is that you guys? And they're like, nah. So then U.S. eliminated them all.
Bet.
Yeah, that was pretty much given to Trump. Interesting. This was a great history video for, like, I get it, like modern Ukraine, right? And man, I had no idea about like the whole like colonizing of Ukraine, like actually injecting. It's almost like residential school type of thing scenario that we had here in Canada.
Yeah, that's crazy. You
like
just
inserting them just so that like the population would actually be Russian. It's crazy.
Wow.
Great video.
Huh. They just hey, here's a famine. Oh, they're dead now? Okay, y'all move in.
So, Jeff, Tony, like, the opinion my other friends have said was the U.S. is to blame. Like,
Okay.
and I did pull up this. Why is USA to blame for Ukraine war? Let's do that. Okay, so this is New York Times. I can't read this. Putin has made America great again 5 days ago. There's plenty of blame to go around on Ukraine. All right, people are saying they are partially to blame, but Putin is a bad man. Yeah. Yeah. All right. All right. What do you guys think is the next move? What is the next move? Because if nobody else steps in, then Russia will take Ukraine. Ukraine can't stand up with less than a quarter of the military power to Russia. There's no way Ukraine can defend itself. The U.S. dangled NATO membership when they would have never allowed Ukraine in. Ukraine is gonna be part of Russia. Yeah. Yeah. And then what? You know, you're gonna raise the city. Well, I mean, the city's messed up already. Then you wait to see if more happens. Then it's World War III.
Yo, that's why I hate humans, bro. Like, why? Like, why? What's the point? Why?
Oh, well, it's because Putin wants to flex. it's basically.
But why? That's why. But why Putin?
Hitler in Poland. It's very similar to Hitler in Poland.
Holy, bro.
U.S. always in other countries' businesses. It's always the case. Well, this is the difference, though, Tony. Like NATO, I'm assuming, yeah, U.S. is a huge part of NATO. If Ukraine if 70%, was it 50 something percent of Ukrainians want to join NATO? I guess it's the narrative, though, right? It's all on how you believe. In which side of the narrative do you believe? Like she was saying it in the video, Eastern Ukraine is all about, yeah, we're Russian, but it's because a lot of them are Russian, like by blood. And then 70% on the left side, on the west side, think they're part of Europe. So, but it's all in the narrative of like what they've inherited in terms of like their moral value. Here's a question: should Donbass be given to Russia? Obviously, it's too late. It's too late. Let's just say Russia didn't go all the way to Kiev because Kiev's way further. But if Ukraine gave up Donbass, do you think that would have been a good move? Would that have helped? Maybe delayed this war?
Maybe temporarily. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know if it would have stopped it. It would probably just have appeased Russia for a little bit. Then they would have been like, the rest of it.
Like, where's Crimea? Like, is Crimea part of Russia now? Is that what annexing Crimea?
It's crazy, yo. Stage is set for the worst case scenario.
Crimea was considered by most countries in the world UN resolution. Or Hitler and Sec. Yep, they should have did it to appease Putin. Did Crimea work? I don't know. I'm just trying to figure it out. I know they were fighting for Crimea for a while.
Crazy, yo.
Oh my god.
So Kiev's down now.
Yeah, I guess we're gonna see more stories and pictures tomorrow. If Crimea didn't work, why would anyone think Russia would stop after Donbass? Okay. So, Mike, but with what you're saying too, then if Ukraine doesn't work, if Russia takes Ukraine, what's going to stop them from taking Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia? Like what from expanding right back to where the Soviet Union borders used to be? Tom, we're talking about World War III.
Sanctions.
I don't think you can hear us yet, but okay. Ukraine isn't part of NATO. If you attack a NATO country, then you start World War III. But no, I hear that. So, Mike, let's just say, obviously, at this point, Russia's going to take Ukraine, right? No one's going to stand up, so Russia's going to take it. So, oh, you're saying NATO's going to keep Ukraine from taking Lithuania and Estonia? Let me just look up. Okay.
What's up, Tom?
It's
a lot brighter in there. Oh, I don't think you can hear us. What's up, man?
Oh, yeah.
Can you
Okay,
hear
I
us?
get it. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, Mike. If you attack a NATO country, then you start World War III. Nazism isn't a huge issue in this. Tom, we're talking about, obviously, you know what we're talking about, World War III, possibility, Russia, Ukraine, what
Can you
happened
hear us?
today.
I don't think
Tom,
he
can
can
you
hear
hear
us.
us, bro? We can see you.
Yeah, he can hear us.
He's testing it out. Oh, there, I hear him.
Hello?
I don't think his headset works. Headset, bro. You can't hear us. Saying the government is full of Nazis is disinformation used by Russian propaganda. Isn't a huge issue. All right, sorry, Tom.
Hello.
Yeah, we hear
Oh,
you, but I don't know if you can hear us, man. It's probably your headset.
damn, son.
Is that what I'm hearing? Yeah, I'm hearing his like teeth.
Yeah, I'm hearing some background stuff.
Hello.
Can you hear us yet?
I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Can you
I
shut
don't know
off?
what happened.
Can you shut off your TV though? Just for the sake of the pod.
Yeah. Can you hear anything now?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So yeah, well, like our topic today is Russia and Ukraine. We went over the history. We watched a 9-minute video talking about why Russia is so invested in Ukraine. All right, so flip, but it's not that cut and dry. There are plenty of Ukrainians that want to separate also. Putin playing to that as excuse. So it does matter. Gives Putin a further in. Ukraine Gov also corrupted as hell. The excuse is to remove the government because they're full of Nazis. Oh, that's what Putin's saying in his narrative? Oh.
I think that's a plant.
Yeah. So,
Crazy.
yeah, it's just been basically the past hour trying to learn the value of Ukraine to Russia, and it just, to me, it just still feels like a flex. Yeah, there's probably some economic, there's some economic benefit to taking Ukraine for Russia, but in the grand scheme, I think it's really just for Putin to flex, for him to show the world, hey, look, you can't push us around. You're gonna back me down in a corner. We're gonna bite, type of thing. Like that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Zelensky was also born to 2 Jewish parents, so. Anyway, I don't know how much more we can talk about this, guys. Everything's like speculation as to what could happen.
Yo, how do you feel if you got conscripted right now?
Oh, yo, I'd be terrified. I wouldn't. I'd probably be charged for like desertion or something. I don't think I could do it.
Conscripted?
Like if we got called to fight.
In a war.
I think a lot of those people are willing to die for that country. They have a different mentality over there.
No, I'm just saying us, like here, like
I'd
if
fight.
Canada gets in, I know you would. But I don't think I couldn't. I couldn't.
Yeah, that's the
I
privilege
couldn't
of
point
that we have.
I couldn't
A lot
point
of
a gun,
people
man.
talk
Like
a lot. Yeah, a lot of people will talk a lot. Let's say Americans too. They hate the country, won't die for it, but they won't die for anything else anyway. So it's we have a different mentality in North America. We
yo, man,
hide behind a lot of things that we don't even know protect us.
I would not die for my country. I'm sorry.
I know,
Like...
exactly. That's what I'm saying. But some people will die for their religion. Some people will die for their sport. Some people will die for their woman. Some
Right.
people will die for their.
Oh, I die for my fam for sure.
Yeah.
I die for my
So,
family.
That's crazy.
I think
But over there,
yeah, over there they got the you know who Vitaly Klitschko is, right? The former heavyweight boxer.
Yeah.
He's the mayor of Kiev. He says if it comes down to it, I will be on the streets fighting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just saw his interview. He's the mayor of Kiev. So he says, I'm not running. I'm not going anywhere. This is the way it is.
Yeah.
He's the Russian. He was a Russian boxer, but now he's a Kiev rep.
Ukraine, yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's the Ukraine. He's the Kiev mayor. I just saw an interview. That's why I was 10 minutes ago. Says when it comes down to it, I'm fighting in the streets. But I think that's a mentality of, that particular place, right? Like
Yeah.
Here we're so
I agree.
coddled in North America compared to,
Yeah.
I'm sure, a place like
It's like-
Kiev. So, like they're arming citizens right now because they know their army's not going to suffice. But I believe that they have no problem getting people to die for that country compared to in a say find 20 people that you can say the same thing. It's probably be harder around here.
Yeah, but even
Bro,
if they do that,
What?
even if
10?
they pull in civilians to add to their troops, like
Yeah.
it's like effectively what's that?
No,
gonna...
but that's not the point. It's like,
Yeah.
would you all run or not? I mean,
Oh, all
some
run or
people are going
not?
to fight no
Oh,
matter what.
like people are already
Right.
running. Like people are already.
And some people are. They're getting rid of the women and children first. Like
Yeah.
the men. I'm talking about the men
Yeah.
specifically.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's some
specific.
women that are going to go, but I think by nature you always kind of get the women and children out. I think that's kind of a
Yeah.
thing. But I'm sure a lot of the like what's going to go on there with Europe or in Ukraine is that they're going to see a slaughter, but they're not going to go down as cowards, regardless of what we think. Like I'm not going down like a chicken. I mean, you know how some people think that way.
Yeah.
That I think it's gonna. They already talked about a Ukraine ship that already got blown up because they wouldn't cede to the Russian ship. They said surrender or we're gonna destroy you. And the Ukrainian soldiers said no, and they fought, and it lasted 3 minutes. They blew up that ship and of sailors.
Yeah.
It's like, who wants to be a prisoner in Russia, knowing the history of between these two? I don't want to be a prisoner in Russia.
Yeah. No. Even without the history, it's like communism,
fuck no.
man. It's like
I'm not going to be a prisoner in Russia. No way.
Yeah, dude. That's.
I mean, that's all the alternative. Like, if someone said, if the U.S. invaded Canada and they said, you want to be a prisoner? Fuck, sure. No problem. But I won't fight. But it'll be interesting to see. I've been reading a lot of, or hearing a lot of how long it lasts. And I thought it would be a shorter war, but now that I'm looking into it, it could dredge on for how many weeks, maybe a month. Like now that I'm learning that they've been more fortified, Ukraine, since 2014, right?
Yeah,
So,
but if you take Kiev, like, what do you know where their next fortified area would location? What are they gonna hold? It's already past the middle.
yeah. Oh, so there's a port there. If you look on the map, it's interesting because I saw this. So they took Crimea, which is a port. There's another port just outside of Belarus that is kind of a Russian stronghold there. That also is a water port that attaches to Russia. So it looks like they want to try to attach it so they can control both those seaboards and have their their Navy move around everywhere freely.
Well, yeah, I heard. Yeah, they're gonna attack from north, south, and east,
yeah.
right?
But for them, it's like I said. You just said it right. They're flexing now because they're not scared. I told you. I think I mentioned they're not scared of Biden.
Yeah, I know. They weren't scared of Trump either.
No, they weren't. Well, why would they wait for so long? They've been doing it for. Who knows what the reason is? But the problem is Biden's got a bigger plate. Yeah, like what triggered it? Who knows? I don't know. But Biden's got a more pill to swallow now. And here's a random prediction. But I've been hearing a lot of chatter. I wouldn't be surprised if China attacks Taiwan now.
Okay, yeah, we were reading about that too.
Yeah. So you never know. Like, I mean, things happen for a reason. Who knows, eh? I don't know.
Like, I didn't even know that was a thing. I feel so out of the... Like, I didn't know China was interested in taking Taiwan.
Oh, it's been going on for a while. Yeah. They're doing a lot of flybys. I think 3 months ago, they did a flyby and showed that we have 100 planes in the air. What's Taiwan going to do with their 12?
So was it a similar kind of history where Taiwan used to be part of China and then Taiwan became independent? Oh.
Kind of like that. And they still claiming it to be China now.
But it's like Hong Kong, though. Hong Kong
is a protectorate. That's different. Taiwan is that's why you always hear in the sports, Chinese Taipei. They're like their own. Yeah, that's Taiwan.
That's so
who
scary,
knows?
Yo.
Who knows?
Like, how are you just gonna fly your warplanes next to my country?
Huge, man.
Just to be like, hey, man, what's up?
Holy crap! Just look at the map.
I mean, it's hard to say but everyone was right when they predicted that war was imminent. I didn't think it was going to have to go down, so it's interesting. Or, and it's true that I guess he waited till after the Chinese Olympics. Remember there was that story like, oh, well, Putin's going to wait till after the Olympics.
Oh, hold on here. I'm going to show this. but just the size. Even though the majority of Russia's in Asia, apparently Russia's considered a European country.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they're probably the edge of it, maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
Where's Moscow? Okay, there's Moscow. Where's St. Petersburg? St. Petersburg's like...
Oh.
Hold on, let's look it up. Moscow to St. Petersburg. Oh, there. Oh, St. Petersburg north, right by Estonia. Okay. 4 hours. 7.5 hour drive. Oh, damn, okay. Minsk. Oh, is that why it's called the Minsk Accord? Minsk Agreement? Moldova. Yeah, I know, like, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, they're nervous. I'm sure they're nervous right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So wait, Belarus is, like, pro-Russia, yeah? Like, there's basically Russia?
They were part of the Russia, too, right? They were one of the states that got, you know, like, I think at that time there was, like, 14, 15 states that left.
Yeah, the
Russia.
Soviet Union, right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was Soviet Union.
Is Soviet
Russia,
Union the same
Russia
as
had it also annexed.
USSR? Is USSR
Yeah.
Soviet Union?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Zangief?
that was the Soviet Union.
Zangief? Okay. Russia is Asia, no?
Or
Yeah,
Zangief.
no.
Is that from Street Fighter?
So, Mike, that's what I'm saying. In that video we just watched with that Indian lady, or sorry, forgive me, she's not Indian, but she said Ukraine is the largest European country next to Russia. That's what it said. But I'm like, but Russia's Asia, so I don't know why they say European country. I had no idea Ukraine was bigger than France and Germany, man. Look at that.
Oh, it's huge.
Oh, but yo, Sweden's bigger.
Yeah.
Sweden and Finland are bigger. Isn't it?
Bigger in landmass?
Well, unless this is just the stretch of the, you know how like they stretch the globe on the north side. But it looks like Sweden and Finland are bigger than Ukraine, but apparently Ukraine is the second largest after Russia.
Yeah.
So yeah. Kiev about to go down. Oh man, I'm scared about what Kiev's gonna look like tomorrow.
Yeah, I was, for the first time I was watching like the news. I didn't see any footage, but then news plants have now been putting footage from people's cell phones. I can't remember the last time if I ever seen a missile in the air and then hit the ground and blow up. Like that was crazy. I was
this
whoa,
woman,
there's gonna be tons of that.
This woman was pointing it out her window. She had like a baby in her hand. Like you hear a and you just see it look like an F-22 or something fly over. You see a missile, and then it landed probably like a block away to her left. You hear the boom, and then the kid's like crying, and then they're like running to the basement, and it's like, oh my god,
what the fuck?
This stuff's
like
weird.
What makes this weird, and this might offend some people, but this is the first time I'm seeing footage like this, and it's not the Middle East.
Right.
Like, you never like.
Right.
It's been a long. I can't remember the last time there's been a war in Europe. I mean, where someone went. I think what they said is last time there was an invasion was when in World War II in Europe.
Wow.
You know, an actual war with invasion.
And here's the thing too: those wars, right? Like, you wouldn't say they were. Is Ukraine a first world country?
No.
Second world?
They're not part of NATO. They're not part of.
No, I just mean in terms of wealth. Like, it's pretty developed, right? Like, look at
They're not third world, yeah. So maybe they're
second world, maybe first.
Second world, yeah.
Oh yeah, civil wars maybe like Yugoslavia, Mike says.
Yeah.
But like what I'm saying is like when you look at Middle East wars, like you can see like those cities don't look like metropolises, you know? They don't look
No, not the ones we're used to seeing, yeah. Like that.
So this is like a modern war, like.
Yeah.
This is crazy. I'm watching this footage now. Holy shit.
Yeah, Day linked one in, I think either it was Chewbacca or Instagram. But it's scary, man.
Like, just like you said, who knows what time is it over there right now? Are they 6 hours ahead of us or
like 7? I think they're 7 hours ahead of us. So it's like 6 a.m.
So it's gonna be sunrise there within the next hour or so.
Right.
Holy shit! Yeah, you can only imagine what kind of carnage has been going on in the dark. That's where a lot of action happens in the dark.
Apparently people have been hiding in the subways. I guess that's the safest. Yeah, you go
Yeah,
to
I
subways.
saw those footages of people hiding in the tunnels there. It's like,
Yeah.
what?
All the trains just kind of stop and they're just
Yeah,
there in
like,
their
you can't
backpacks.
even.
And
Wow.
I thought it was like they maybe shut it down. They couldn't go to work, but I guess nobody's really being called to work today. Be like, stay at home. You know?
Yeah. I mean, this could be the like we're gonna see some weird stuff, man. I wouldn't be surprised if we're gonna see some stupid TikTokers doing some fucking dumb shit because he's in the middle of who knows?
Oh, God,
You know what
I
I mean?
hope
Like
not.
you can see some stupid people doing crazy things with social media because of this thing.
Well, what I was telling Deji earlier before you got here was like, all other times, like if I could remember, we relied on like reporters to show footage. We had to rely on news journalists to come in with video. But because again, I'm saying this city or this country is very, pretty much first world modern living.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a cell phone. Everyone's got their Instagram lives, their Facebooks, their Twitters and Snaps. Like, man, like that stuff's gonna spread very, very accessibly. Like we already seen. It was just shocking for me for one day they sent that one link. Like this, it was like a Ukrainian person. Like you could tell. Like I think even he changed his profile photo to the Ukrainian flag. The name was Ukrainian, and he posted 8 clips. I guess it wasn't all his clips, but like he probably collected it from various people submitting it and sharing it online.
Crazy.
They speak Russian in Ukraine, right? They speak the same language.
Apparently,
No?
a third of the eastern region speak Russian, but they do speak Ukrainian. Ukrainian is different.
Oh, Ukrainian is Ukraine. Okay.
It's close. I know it sounds similar, but yeah. What's amazing is that cell and satellite networks have been up the whole time. Right.
For now.
For now.
For now.
Fuck.
Those towers are pretty spread around the grid, so it makes sense. If they're generally not in cities, are they, right? Like they're not in like heavily populated cities. I think they kind of spread them out outside the city, so that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they're untouched because usually when you want military type, like when they launch the missiles first, right? It's always you take out the army's advantage and the civilian connection to
the rest of the world.
TV and all that is not as probably as important at the meantime. But they took out their satellites, they took out their other shit. Airports.
I mean, I guess it's easy enough to do that when you have a very kind of isolated little city or whatever, but not. I mean, even just looking at pictures of Ukraine, it looks beautiful, man. Like, like I'd want to go there and just check it out.
Yeah.
But man.
Well, Ukraine is pretty.
In our lifetime, in our generation, did you think?
Lifetime, yo.
Did you think we were gonna see a war? Yeah, well, yeah. From pandemic to war, Russia attacked Georgia in 2008. Russia attacked Georgia in 2008. Georgia? Where's Georgia, bro?
I think it's over by the the Azerbaijans and the Uzbekistans and the stand everywhere stand countries.
Georgia, there it is. So Georgia is, yeah, I don't know where this.
Oh, yeah, right by Azerbaijan.
Is this
below that is Turkmenistan,
Armenia, Azerbaijan, Turkey,
Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan.
Well, that's farther here. That's farther on this side.
But those are all the former Russian states. Yeah.
Yeah. I wish I could see where Soviet. So you're saying everything down to Uzbekistan and Tajikistan used to be Soviet Union too?
Yeah, because there was a war before in the 80s, right, with Russia and Pakistan.
But not Afghanistan.
Yeah, in Afghanistan there was Afghanistan. Sorry, what is it back? There was a war right there because this was the border, and then the U.S. helped Afghanistan arm up against Russia.
That's Pakistan.
But Afghanistan is technically, that's Asia. Yeah. Or Middle East.
Look how big Russia is, man.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. GWB was stupid to dangle NATO membership to both Georgia and Ukraine. What's GWB, guys?
George W. Bush.
Oh, that's
Oh,
okay. I get it. Sorry, man. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, I heard that. The second Bush, right? The younger
Yeah,
Bush.
man.
It was the younger Bush. Too. He kind of flexed. He's like saying the U.S. won the Cold War, and like he started saying Ukraine should do it, even though there was an agreement that Ukraine would never do it. So that's what apparently it is. Ukraine still hasn't done it though. But
Done
I guess
what?
okay. So apparently, to stop the fighting in Crimea, they agreed. Ukraine agreed that they will not join NATO. This was in the Minsk agreement or the Minsk Accord or whatever. But since then, they keep entertaining the fact that they joined NATO. So let's just say one argument could be, well, they didn't join NATO, so why would Putin attack them right now? Because they're not joining NATO, unless he felt it was imminent that they were gonna join NATO. So it was like, before they do that, we can attack them, so they're not part of NATO. So then it's not a world war.
Exactly. That's smart. Technically, from that angle.
Jeff's saying they will never be allowed in NATO. Period. But who would not allow them?
I don't.
How are you gonna dangle it?
Like, why? Who cares? Like, well, what's the significance
of not being in NATO, or what do you mean?
Or like, I mean, like, if they join or not, like, who has the power to say no? Isn't that a vote?
So okay, so Jeff, you're saying NATO won't allow them to join, even though they want to join. So then, what's the problem then?
It's criteria.
Yeah. There's no criteria. Like, I'm sure NATO will take on any country that wants to join, but if that agreement has any kind of say, then it would never happen. Is that what you're saying, Jeff? Like, is it because of that agreement with Russia? So how can they even entertain it? Why is that even part of the argument?
I think agreements run out though.
Well, like a treaty or whatever, like.
Yeah, because don't they have to renew some of this shit out like every so often?
Oh, I don't know, dude. I guess if the power that signed the treaty dies,
so that there's no corruption of any kind. I guess I don't know, but I know they've always had to deal with NATO alliance and all that stuff. Like they always have to revisit it, and there's always a treaty to be signed every 5, I don't know, something like that, years. I'm pretty sure.
It has never been stated to Putin that they wouldn't join. Yeah, it was Gorbachev, right? Was it
Holy
Gorbachev?
Shit. Gorbachev.
Was it? I don't know.
Ukraine wasn't even around then.
Well, isn't that no? Apparently, Gorbachev.
Oh, Gorbachev is the last president.
When Soviet Union was
Gorbachev is like old. Isn't that the guy with the thing on his head?
I think
so.
Yeah, I remember that.
Ivan Drago years, man. This is old.
So when was Stalin's way before that, right?
Oh man, that's like World War II, isn't it?
Yeah, okay, right. Okay.
He's Hitler, man.
Yeah, but he was a good guy. Like Russia were good guys.
Yeah, I mean he was on the side of everybody else. He was
on the alliance.
He was on the alliance, right?
Good guy.
Super allies.
Like the only bad people who joined Germany. Sorry, yeah, wasn't it just Japan?
And Italy.
Italy was with Germany too.
Oh what?
Yeah,
really?
Mussolini.
Oh shit.
Really?
Yeah, that's why I always wonder when people say, "Well, the Nazi Germany's." Then how's it that we've forgiven Japan and Italy? They're on that side too, but everyone wants to always talk about Nazi Germany. Like, I mean, Japan and Italy were on the same side.
What about Korea?
I don't think they were. Yeah, I mean, they had the right allies for whatever reason. I mean, Japan wanted to rule Asia, right? So that's why they had that, and they're right there with their boats. But yeah,
but China's
they had parts of China for a while, yeah. But
yes, Asians know about Japan.
China.
Japanese slaughtered Chinese and Koreans.
Oh man,
they slaughtered they killed so many people in the shortest amount of time.
Yeah,
they read so many of those.
That's why they needed the Philippines, because MacArthur was on the island.
And Filipinos. I didn't even know that.
That's why but that's why Philippines was part of the States up until after World War II.
There were U.S. bases.
MacArthur was in the Philippines. He was the leader of the Navy.
Comfort women.
And they were trying to find him in the Philippines. That's why that phrase "I'll be back." That's where it came from. He had to jump from island to island before he could fucking get off those islands and go back and get his navy.
Something to
That
look
was
up
the mistake,
regarding
or that was a
Japanese.
failure. If they could have caught MacArthur, who knows what the war would have turned out to be like.
Yeah.
Shit, son.
But it was, yeah.
Are you saying that U.S. isn't occupying Philippines anymore? There's still bases, right?
No,
It's gotta be. Really? They're all
no,
gone?
they stopped that 15 years ago, and now they're thinking about opening up again because of what could happen in the conflict.
Oh, jeez.
If something
I am
happens in
so
China, it's nice
out
to
of the
have
loop,
bases.
guys. I'm sorry.
It'd be nice to have bases there, right?
No, you
Instead of bringing your fleet all the way from the other side of the ocean.
Well, yeah, you gotta place them.
Yeah.
I used to think, man. Here's another I know I'm just exemplifying how stupid I am, but like these nuke bombs, these nukes. I just used to think nukes were also intercontinental kind of missiles, like where you could just shoot them from anywhere. I don't think you can, because
I don't know what the capability of a nuke is, right? Yeah, I think it's got to be more intricate.
Wouldn't that take hours?
Yeah, no.
Like as soon as you launch one, like you know in movies where they're like, yeah, launch nukes or fighting whatever, it always shows it coming out of like native, well, a lot
like
of
in the jungle.
well, no, it as in like in your own soil, like it's coming out of your own silo base or coming out of Washington or something.
Yeah.
But realistically, it comes out of a stationed silo near your target, like because there's less.
That's it. I don't think so.
Yeah, like it makes sense. Like think about it, like travel time. Even a missile going at like speed of sound is not going to make it in. There's time for it to be like there's retaliation measure.
So example, you're saying that the missile that it wants to target is actually already around the target in the country or somewhere else.
Jeff's telling me there's hypersonic nukes now. So you're saying they will still shoot them from like they'll shoot them from home base? You can shoot these from home base? US got the Odin. No. Pretty much the only show good on Prime is The Man in the High Castle, a show that imagined Germany and Japan winning the war. Okay, I don't know. I don't know how fast nukes. We were looking at like how big nukes are now, like in terms of their output, but I don't know about like actual missile like capabilities now.
Yeah, the nuke itself is the warhead doesn't have to be anything big, right? It's the technology in the warhead of the nuclear bomb is.
I'm just thinking logistically travel time. Like
that's why where we are we're
like
the United States are is.
Isn't there like I'm pretty sure every country with nukes knows exactly when another country shoots a nuke, doesn't it? Like, isn't there like this alarm? Like, oh, they just shot a nuke,
yeah.
Right? So
but
it's
there's
like
also that thing where all the nukes are pretty much accounted for, right? Everybody, so there's a quota limit. Everyone that was signed in the treaty that only Russia, China, everyone has to have a certain amount. Of nukes.
Okay.
So we know that part.
Jeff just reminded me. Subs also carry them too.
Oh, that's it. Yeah,
and
right. So they're
mobile.
Ocean,
They're close to the target. They'll be much closer to the target.
Yes.
Hypersonic nukes are harder to track. They fly lower and super fast, so it's tough to respond. Huh. Now you know. There are hypersonic nukes that fly low to the ground.
At this point right now, if somebody launches a nuke, others will. So let's hope nobody presses the first button.
Well, here's the thing. If someone launches a nuke, it's only going to one place. We only know it's going to one place. It's just
not necessarily
the first nuke.
Where do you think it's going to go?
It's going for Russia, like retaliation. If Russia sends a nuke,
from who? From who? The States?
No, it doesn't. I don't know who. I'm just saying.
Well, there's only who else would launch a nuke? England?
See,
they have a nuke.
I see how whoever pushes that button first will be an idiot because it's gonna do the chain reaction domino effect.
Exactly.
But it'll open up. Yes, it'll open up an opportunity for Russia to shoot at whoever they want, which is gonna be likely Ukraine and the U.S. China will probably shoot Taiwan. Maybe even Japan. I don't know. And then the rest of the I don't know, man. Canada
that's going to be the end of it, right?
Does Canada have nukes?
No, we don't need to.
Okay.
We got Big Brother right below us.
Oh, man, we're fucked.
We're in the safest part of the world right now.
Russia would send the first one probably. That's why U.S. is never going into Ukraine for this war. Well, yeah, because like the flex alone, he's not afraid to do it. But would he send it to Ukraine? He doesn't need to use it in Ukraine.
He doesn't need to because he's right beside it.
He's too
His troops
big,
are right there.
and it doesn't make sense because it'll be harder for him to really like actually reap the benefits of actually getting Ukraine. He just hits to hit a NATO. Oh, he just has to hit a NATO country. Yeah, but it would most likely be the States. Oh, he just needs to hit a NATO country. I don't know why Russia would point at anybody else other than Ukraine and the US. Like I don't see
Ukraine is off the grid. It's not protected technically by any alliance, so you walk in there, take it.
So I guess that's what it is. Ukraine wanted to join NATO so that this shit couldn't happen. And so Putin's like, well, I don't want you to do that, so I'm going to do it now before you can do it. Yeah, he definitely wants Ukraine. U.S. has Space Force. Russia needs to chill. Tony's just cracking jokes all night. But
U.S. has Space Force. Russia needs to chill. You know what? At the end of the day, I don't think that Russia's not. United States not going to engage.
Man, with all these movies of like super spies stopping nuclear and wars and stuff from happening, come on, where's the Bonds?
Where's the James Bond, man?
MI6s and CIAs and
maybe that's why this happened. He died. They caught him. Like, all right, fuck it.
Bond's gone.
The plan has been hatched because they caught the spy.
Yeah, I mean, okay, let's say he gets Ukraine, government gets toppled over, everyone becomes prisoners of the war.
Yeah.
And then what?
What's anyone gonna do? Who's gonna tell Russia what? Nobody.
This is
here's the thing. We can be offended all day long. Russia's not gonna.
If he takes it, he's gonna want to take the rest of the old Soviet Union, but they're all part of NATO already. So it's like, what do you do then? It's like this is the last move. He wants the last word. Is Ukraine the last word? Is that what we're thinking? Is that it? Is just...
I don't know. I think
who knows?
Try to press his advantage.
Countries like Finland. Like, what does he want with Scandinavia? Like,
yeah, there's no history there, like in sense of any culture or people who they don't speak the same language. So that would be just straight up. We'll take it. There's no history, but there's history here with Ukraine.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So
NATO countries. I want to look up this list. Oh, Estonia's in NATO, bro. You can't fight. Can't do it. Can't do it. Is Lithuania in here? Lithuania, part of NATO.
Yeah.
Albania, Belgium. There's another one. Latvia? You thinking Latvia? Latvia, part of NATO. Yeah, I was looking at all the ones.
When did Ukraine become independent from Russia?
Ukraine become independent?
Yeah, like when did they get? Because it's not that long ago.
Recent, yeah.
Yeah, that's why they said fuck it, we're taking it back. Maybe that's what in his head is.
1991.
There you go. See, it's not that long ago, and they're still not under any protection order or any treaty order.
Dude, I had no idea NATO was huge.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say huge, but there's a lot of countries in there.
North Alliance Treaty Organization, Northern Alliance, or whatever it's called, National Alliance.
Yo, why isn't the Philippines in here? No Asian countries in here?
They have their own.
Do we? What are they called?
I forget.
The ATO.
Yeah, the ETO. I don't know.
Asian Alliance. Oh wait, it's North American Treaty Organization. Or is it? Shoot, it's not North American. It's what does NATO stand for again? Man, I knew that. NATO stands for the North Atlantic. North Atlantic. So then it would be like
North Atlantic Treaty Organization.
It'd just be ATO, Asian Treaty Organization. NATO is pretty much billed as a coalition for Russia. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. It's like, how do we keep Russia at bay on their own land? Because, for North America to try to keep Russia under control, with the water, the body of water.
Yeah, it's just a protection order, right? Don't mess with them because we have everyone else protecting us, which makes sense.
So, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization was created in 1949 by the United States, Canada, and several Western European nations to provide collective security against the Soviet Union. Yeah, you're right. NATO was the first peacetime military alliance the United States entered into outside of the Western Hemisphere.
If you touch any of those countries, then they go to war.
Yeah. Which makes sense.
Yep.
Because there's nothing, if they didn't do that, there would be nothing for stopping Russia to take all of Europe.
Yeah. I mean,
like, militarily. Like, because it's all these they're tiny countries, man.
What happened after World War II? Within 4 years, they said we need protection from Russia. I'm curious now to look at that history. Russia was just fighting for the good guys. And then in 4 years, we need protection from Russia.
Well, it's because they occupied Germany, right? That was isn't that the whole thing?
Russia occupied Germany?
Well, isn't it?
After the war?
Because it was Cold War. Isn't that Cold War?
Cold War is the States and U.S.
No, you mean the States and Russia? Like Soviet Union,
Or States,
right?
Well, yeah, States and Russia.
Yeah.
That was the missile war. That was Star Wars and all that shit.
But that started after the end of World War II, didn't it?
I don't know. I don't think so. I thought that was
Cold War. 1947 to 1989. So yeah, it makes sense. That's why you started NATO. That's why you started.
So Russia went all crazy and shit.
Well, it's because once they were in Germany, they wanted to stay there. They wanted to extend Russian border all the way to Germany, dude. Like, it makes sense. You just won it in the war. You just marched all the way. Yeah, you're gonna want to stay there. That makes sense. And so, okay, yeah, you couldn't have Russia go all the way to Germany. That's crazy. Imagine the border of Russia go all the way to Germany.
Jesus.
Oh man, Poland would be pissed. There'd be no Poland. There'd be no Schwarzenegger. There'd be nothing, man.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's no way. Anyway, I think we've beaten the subject.
Well, it makes sense, right? Those cities were already built, so like, let's take it. So we don't have to build any infrastructure. Fuck it.
Well, I mean, they're the ones who technically ended the war. Like, they earned it, or they will probably think they earned it, right? So they marched all the way across and finished them off, and had the wall.
How Germany thought they can go into Russia in the dead of winter, man? They froze to death, man. They should have waited till the summer.
Siberians. Anyway, did you do a stream on the trucker convoy? No, I did not, Jeff. That's a good idea. Did that work? Trucker convoy, guys. Is it mandated yet?
I don't think so.
Okay, we shouldn't start the question. That's a good one to have. I should probably do more research on that next week. But yeah, from what I understand, yeah, they wanted all the truckers in Canada to get vaxxed. It was gonna mandate it, and if you didn't get vaxxed, you'd get fired. You'd lose your job. So I mean that's definitely against your rights. So yeah, that's a good one to touch. We can talk about that next week. We can do some research on that. Because yeah, even this past weekend there were still trucks in Toronto.
Yeah, people were getting towed and fined.
They're protesting something that's gonna be over in a few months. Well, it's different, Mike, because I think they were thinking of doing that, forcing them to get all vaxxed, not so they could eat at restaurants and stuff like that, but it was more like work related issues, because like it would affect logistics of cross border. Like if you're like a lot of these truckers cross the border multiple times, maybe not even a week, but a day. And unless you had, even if you were vaxxed or whatever, you still needed like rapid tests. But if you weren't vaxxed, you were going to need like the test that takes like a day or two to get results or something. US requires vax though, so it's pointless. I don't even know that, but we'll leave that for next week. Yes, thank you guys for joining us. This was all over a little bit all over. Forgive me for all my misinformation and wrong information that I hopefully corrected, but I appreciate you guys coming in and sharing your knowledge in the chat. But yeah, we'll be back next week, 10 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching. I think the last thing we could say, peace. Yeah, the wordle of the day was peace.
Oh,
but yeah, it sucks because we have no like conclusive like teachable here. I think we're all in just the shock state we're all shocked. We're all like hoping for the you know, minimal amount of civilian deaths and injuries, and like it just looks, yeah, it looks imminent that we can't avoid it. Like Ukraine is now gone and it's gonna be Russia now. So good night, everybody. Have a good night. Be safe. Peace.